Question 1. What does EH4T relate to? A. Safe ways of putting out a fire. B. Safe way of storing tools. C. Workplace exposure limits. D. Correct ways of reporting an accident. Question 1. Answer, C. Workplace exposure limits. Question 2. What does RIDDER stand for? A. Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. B. Reporting of Injuries, Deaths and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. C. Reporting of Injuries, Destruction and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. D. Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Deadly Occurrences Regulations. Question 2. Answer, A. Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. Question 3. You witness a near miss and the worker involved is afraid of getting into trouble. What should you do? A. Have a chat with him and ask him to be careful next time. B. Report it. C. He seems okay, so all is fine. D. Take him to your supervisor immediately. Question 3. Answer, B. Report it. Question 4. Whenever possible, heavy loads should be A. Dragged along the floor. B. Split into lighter manageable loads. C. Carried on your shoulder. D. Left until a colleague can assist. Question 4. Answer, B. Split into lighter manageable loads. Question 5. A risk assessment is important because A. It tells you who is in charge of health and safety at your worksite. B. It is used to delegate tasks among workers. C. It tells you where tools should be stored. D. It tells you the safest way of performing a task. Question 5. Answer, D. It tells you the safest way of performing a task. Question 6. After raising a fire alarm, what's the next thing you should do? A. Hide under a desk. B. Find your supervisor and inform of the situation. C. Find your colleagues and take them out the building. D. Leave the building immediately. Question 6. Answer, D. Leave the building immediately. Question 7. Leptospirosis is a bacterial infection commonly caused by A. Rats and livestock urinating in water. B. Ants. C. Fish dying in water. D. Mosquitoes. Question 7. Answer, A. Rats and livestock urinating in water. Question 8. Exit signs are one of the most vital safety signs on any site. What color are they? A. Red. B. Yellow. C. Green. D. Blue. Question 8. Answer, C. Green. Question 9. Asbestos is a toxic substance that affects men and women only but not children. A. True. B. False. Question 9. Answer, B. False. Question 1. All of the following statements are true about using podium steps except A. You must ensure the wheels are locked before getting on. B. Podiums are 100% safe and cannot topple over. C. Like all other equipment, podiums must be inspected regularly. D. Podiums can topple over, so you must take care when reaching sideways. Question 1. Answer, B. Podiums are 100% safe and cannot topple over. Question 2. What is the leading cause of death among construction workers? A. Being hit by vehicles on site. B. Leptospirosis. C. Falling from height. D. Electrocution. Question 2. Answer, C. Falling from height. Question 3. Which of these statements is true about using ladders? A. Only one person should work on a ladder. B. Two people can work on the same ladder if it is long enough. C. Two people can work on the same ladder if the supervisor approves. D. Two people can work on the same ladder only if someone else holds the ladder. Question 3. Answer: A. Only one person should work on a ladder. Question 4. What should you do if the ladder you're about to use is damaged? A. Carry on using the ladder but stay away from the damaged section. B. Try to fix the ladder yourself. C. Put the ladder in a corner and leave it there. D. Stop using it, report it and let your colleagues know the ladder is not safe. Question 4. Answer: D. Stop using it, report it and let your colleagues know the ladder is not safe. Question 5. What should you do if you need to use a mobile tower scaffold but the wheel brakes aren't working? A. Ask a colleague to hold the tower while you work. B. Carry on using it only if the floor is level. C. Use a rock or a piece of wood to wedge the wheels and stop them from moving. D. Do not use it. Question 5. Answer: D. Do not use it. Question 6. Ladders should never be painted because A. The paint causes the ladder to become slippery. B. The paint can hide or mask damaged parts of the ladder. C. You will need to repaint the ladder regularly. D. The paint could cause a distraction to the person using the ladder. Question 6. Answer: B. The paint can hide or mask damaged parts of the ladder. Question 7. Which of these statements is true about storing materials on a working platform? A. Unsecured materials can be stored as long as they are above the guardrail height. B. The materials only need securing if it's going to be there overnight. C. The materials don't need to be secured if they're going to be there less than 6 hours. D. You must ensure the platform can take the weight of the materials and the materials must be stored securely so they can't fall. Question 7. Answer: D. You must ensure the platform can take the weight of the materials and the materials must be stored securely so they can't fall. Question 8. The best way to ensure a ladder is secured and won't slip is to A. Tie it at the bottom. B. Tie it at the top. C. Have a colleague hold it while you work. D. Use a piece of wood to wedge the bottom. Question 8. Answer: B. Tie it at the top. Question 9. Which of these best describes working at height? A. 5 meters above the ground. B. 6 meters above the ground. C. 10 meters above the ground. D. Any height above or below ground level that can cause an injury if you fall. Question 9. Answer: D. Any height above or below ground level that can cause an injury if you fall. Question 10. How many points of contact should you have with a ladder at all times? A. 4. B. 1. C. 3. D. 2. Question 10. Answer: C. 3. Question 11. Which of these would you not put a mobile tower scaffold on? A. An abandoned parking lot. B. A concrete walkway. C. An uneven playground. D. An asphalt road. Question 11. Answer: C. An uneven playground. Question 12. Checking a ladder before use should be done by A. Your supervisor. B. Your health and safety rep. C. The person about to use it. D. The site manager. Question 12. Answer: C. The person about to use it. Question 1. Over time, excess noise can damage your ability to hear. Can such a condition be reversed? A. Yes, but you will be forced to change your current job. B. With time, the condition may repair itself. C. The damage is permanent and cannot be reversed. D. You will need surgery to repair your hearing loss. Question 1 Answer, C. The damage is permanent and cannot be reversed. Question 2. You have just finished working with a particularly noisy piece of equipment and you have a ringing in your ears. What does this symptom imply? A. Your body has been exposed to excess vibration. B. You may be coming down with the flu or respiratory infection. C. The level of noise was high, but it was still safe. D. You've temporarily damaged your hearing. Question 2 Answer, D. You've temporarily damaged your hearing. Question 3. Over time, excess noise can damage your hearing. Which of these is an early sign of this? A. Infections of the inner ear. B. There are no early signs. C. A rash may appear around the outside of your ear. D. A ringing sound or even a temporary hearing loss may occur. Question 3 Answer, D. A ringing sound or even a temporary hearing loss may occur. Question 4. Give 2 separate answers as to how excess noise can affect your health. A. Loss of hearing. B. Constant ear infections. C. An excess buildup of wax in your ears. D. Persistent headaches. E. A condition known as vibration white finger. Question 4 Answers, A. Loss of hearing. D. Persistent headaches. Question 5. You believe that excess noise at the job site has damaged your hearing. What do you need to do? A. Take a few sick days and rest. B. Have your doctor or employer arrange a hearing test for you. C. Place cotton wads in your ears to prevent any future damage. D. There is nothing that you can do. The damage is permanent and cannot be undone. Question 5 Answer, B. Have your doctor or employer arrange a hearing test for you. Question 6. You find yourself on the job site next to a coworker who is using a loud piece of machinery. You are wearing no hearing protection. What do you need to do? A. Immediately stop and speak with the supervisor of your coworker. B. Continue working, as the job site will always be noisy. C. Tell the worker to stop what they are doing. D. Leave the area until you have secured the correct personal protective equipment, PPE. Question 6 Answer, D. Leave the area until you have secured the correct personal protective equipment, PPE. Question 7. It is a general rule that noise levels may be excessive if you must shout to speak to someone. How far away? A. 6 meters. B. 4 meters. C. 5 meters. D. 2 meters. Question 7 Answer, D. 2 meters. Question 8. Your job requires you to wear ear defenders while on site. However, one of the pads is missing. What should you do? A. Use a piece of cloth and wrap it around the shell while continuing to work. B. Wear them as they are and continue working. C. Do not wear them. Work without hearing protection. D. Wait until the pad is replaced before entering into a noisy area. Question 8 Answer, D. Wait until the pad is replaced before entering into a noisy area. Question 9. When working in a hearing protection zone, you must, A. Use hearing protection when the noises are too loud to stand. B. Be careful not to make excess noise. C. Wear the appropriate hearing protection at all times. D. Have adequate hearing protection in case you need it. Question 9 Answer, C. Wear the appropriate hearing protection at all times. Question 10. By wearing hearing protection you will, A. Eliminate all possibilities of being exposed to excess noise levels. B. Reduce the amount of noise you're exposed to. C. Improve your hearing. D. Reverse any previous hearing problems. Question 10 Answer, B. Reduce the amount of noise you're exposed to. Question 1. When does your employer need to provide a first aid box? A. When the total number of employees exceeds 10. B. When the total number of employees exceeds 35. C. Every site should be equipped with a first aid box regardless of the number of employees. D. First aid boxes are provided at the company's discretion and are not compulsory. Question 1. Answer: C. Every site should be equipped with a first aid box regardless of the number of employees. Question 2. Protective midsoles on your footwear are used to A. Increase comfort throughout the day. B. Support your ankles and prevent them from twisting. C. Protect your feet from falling objects. D. Protect your feet if you step on nails and other sharp objects. Question 2. Answer: D. Protect your feet if you step on nails and other sharp objects. Question 3. Why are site inductions important? A. The worksite health and safety rules are discussed during the site induction. B. It gives you the opportunity to formally meet your colleagues. C. It allows you to have a look around at the work site. D. It gives you the opportunity to meet the site manager and supervisors. Question 3. Answer: A. The worksite health and safety rules are discussed during the site induction. Question 4. Class 3 ladders are suitable for A. Heavy-duty and industrial purposes. B. Domestic use. C. Both industrial and domestic purposes. D. Building site purposes. Question 4. Answer: B. Domestic use. Question 5. When working in a hearing protection zone you must A. Be as quiet as possible. B. Not use any loud equipment or machinery. C. Ensure you wear hearing protection. D. Work as fast as possible and then leave in order to reduce the noise level. Question 5. Answer: C. Ensure you wear hearing protection. Question 6. What should you do if you notice a safety hazard that no one else seems to notice? A. Stay away from that area. B. Report it to your supervisor immediately. C. Keep on working and report it at the end of your shift. D. Report it to your colleagues and tell them to stay away from that area. Question 6. Answer: B. Report it to your supervisor immediately. Question 7. Why is it important to sign in whenever you are on site? A. To ensure you're working your correct hours. B. To ensure you're accounted for in the event of an evacuation. C. The HSE needs records of your working hours. D. Signing in is optional and not compulsory. Question 7. Answer: B. To ensure you're accounted for in the event of an evacuation. Question 8. Which of these fire extinguishers are most suitable for use on electrical fires? A. CO2 and dry powder. B. CO2 and water. C. CO2 and foam. D. Foam and dry powder. Question 8. Answer: A. CO2 and dry powder. Question 1. High levels of dust can be inhaled when performing tasks such as grinding, drilling, sanding and cutting. These levels are most dangerous when A. Working in a small room. B. Using the tool in large, indoor area. C. Working outdoor on a calm day. D. Using the tool outside when it is windy. Question 1. Answer: A. Working in a small room. Question 2. You need to sweep up dust that was created during your shift. You should A. Place a protective mask over your nose and mouth. B. Ensure that there is adequate ventilation. C. Dampen down the area. D. All of the above. Question 2. Answer: D. All of the above. Question 3. You are required to undertake some work that will produce dust. What will need to do? A. Only work for a short period of time. B. Avoid the work, as dust can harm your respiratory system. C. Begin work immediately, dust is hardly dangerous. D. Wear the correct personal protective equipment, PPE, and use devices that will control airborne dust. Question 3. Answer: D. Wear the correct personal protective equipment, PPE, and use devices that will control airborne dust. Question 4. When using water to help control the levels of dust when cutting, what should you do? A. Make certain that you are using as much water as possible. B. Pour water onto a surface before you begin cutting. C. Ask a coworker to stand next to you and pour water directly onto your workspace. D. Make sure that the flow of water is adjusted correctly. Question 4. Answer: D. Make sure that the flow of water is adjusted correctly. Question 5. What 2 methods can you use to reduce the amount of dust from becoming airborne? A. Place a dust collector on the machine. B. Wear a protective mask. C. Keep your area neat. D. Work carefully and slowly. E. Wet cutting. Question 5. Answer: A. Place a dust collector on the machine. E. Wet cutting. Question 6. When using a power tool for cutting and grinding, why is it important for the dust to be collected? A. It will save time and avoid a mess. B. A machine guard is not necessary if the dust is collected. C. Dust can be harmful if it is inhaled. D. The tool performs better if dust is collected. Question 6. Answer: C. Dust can be harmful if it is inhaled. Question 7. Occupational asthma can make it impossible to work with specific materials. How is it caused? A. Constant exposure to rat droppings. B. Constant exposure to harmful levels of noise. C. Cutaneous, skin, contact with the hazardous materials. D. Breathing in hazardous substances such as dust, vapors and fumes. Question 7. Answer: D. Breathing in hazardous substances such as dust, vapors and fumes. Question 8. Being exposed to which of these items will not cause lung infections or diseases? A. Bird feces. B. Strong odors. C. Asbestos fibers. D. Silica in dust form. Question 8. Answer: B. Strong odors. Question 9. A nest of pigeons along with droppings are discovered in an area where you will be working. What should you do? A. Let the birds leave before continuing with your work. B. Seasport and ask a supervisor what you should do. C. Attempt to catch the birds. D. Continue with your tasks. Question 9. Answer: B. Seasport and ask a supervisor what you should do. Question 10. More construction workers die or suffer long-term health impacts from which of the following? A. Tripping and falling. B. Accidents involving vehicles. C. Falling from great heights. D. Inhaling hazardous substances. Question 10. Answer: D. Inhaling hazardous substances. Question 11. You are working with a chemical and require respiratory protective equipment, RPE. If none has been given, what do you do? A. Work as quickly as possible. B. Smell the chemical to determine whether it is dangerous. C. Begin work but take breaks at 5-minute intervals. D. Do not work until the proper equipment and training have been provided. Question 11. Answer: D. Do not work until the proper equipment and training have been provided. Question 12. You are provided with a dust mask to protect against dangerous fumes, but this mask is partially damaged. What should you do? A. Begin your work but take regular breaks. B. Wear a second mask above the first. C. Work as quickly as possible. D. Do not start working until you are supplied with the proper protective equipment. Question 12. Answer D. Do not start working until you are supplied with the proper protective equipment. Question 13. Which of these tasks does not cause silica dust to enter into the air? A. Sawing wood. B. Cutting stones and blocks. C. Demolition of concrete floors or screeds. D. Sweeping up rubble. Question 13. Answer A. Sawing wood. Question 14. When you are drilling, grinding, sanding or dusting, how can you protect your lungs from long-term respiratory damage? A. Wear goggles and use a dust extractor or only wet cut. B. Use a regular dust mask, goggles and hearing protection. C. Only use FFP3 rated mask and goggles. D. Use FFP3 rated mask, an extraction device or wet cut, impact goggles and hearing protection. Question 14. Answer D. Use FFP3 rated mask, an extraction device or wet cut, impact goggles and hearing protection. Question 15. Solvents in paints and resins can lead to A. Lung issues. B. Headaches, nausea and dizziness. C. Other effects on the body. D. All of the above. Question 15. Answer D. All of the above. Question 1. Why is it important for you to keep your working environment clean and tidy? A. To prevent rats and other animals that could spread diseases. B. To reduce the risk of slips, trips and falls. C. To reduce environmental side effects. D. All of the above. Question 1. Answer D. All of the above. Question 2. If RPE is needed for a task but you can't find it, what would you do? A. Carry on with the task and ask your supervisor when he comes along. B. Carry on with the task and take breaks at regular intervals. C. Create a temporary mask with a towel or rag. D. Wait until you get the correct RPE before starting. Question 2. Answer D. Wait until you get the correct RPE before starting. Question 3. Which of these is most likely if your body comes into contact with wet cement? A. Leptospirosis. B. Vibration white finger. C. Temporary hearing loss. D. Chemical burns and dermatitis. Question 3. Answer D. Chemical burns and dermatitis. Question 4. At what angle should ladders be placed against the wall? A. 75 degrees. B. 40 degrees. C. 50 degrees. D. 65 degrees. Question 4. Answer A. 75 degrees. Question 5. Which of these statements is not true about ladders? A. You should have at least 3 points of contact while on a ladder. B. A ladder should tied at the top to ensure it doesn't slip. C. A ladder should be painted to prevent wear and tear. D. You should inspect the ladder before using it. Question 5. Answer C. A ladder should be painted to prevent wear and tear. Question 6. What does PAT mean? A. Professional Appliance Test. B. Portable Application Test. C. Portable Appliance Test. D. Professional Application Test. Question 6. Answer C. Portable Appliance Test. Question 7. Which of these would have to undergo a PAT test in your workplace? A. A microwave. B. A coffee maker. C. A radio. D. A battery-powered radio. Question 7. Answer A. A microwave. B. A coffee maker. C. A radio. Question 8. What is the main reason for reporting accidents? A. So employees can make a claim for compensation. B. Someone needs to be blamed for the accident. C. So employers and employees can learn from and prevent the same accidents in the future. D. Employers need to keep records for survey purposes. Question 8. Answer C. So employers and employees can learn from and prevent the same accidents in the future. Question 9. You find yourself on the job site next to a coworker who is utilizing a loud piece of machinery. You are wearing no hearing protection. What should you do? A. Immediately stop and speak with the supervisor of your coworker. B. Continue working, as the job site will always be noisy. C. Tell the worker to stop the job they are currently performing. D. Leave the area until you have secured the correct personal protective equipment, PPE, for your ears. Question 9. Answer D. Leave the area until you have secured the correct personal protective equipment, PPE, for your ears. Question 10. It is a general rule that noise levels may be excessive if you must shout to speak to someone. How far away? A. 6 meters. B. 4 meters. C. 5 meters. D. 2 meters. Question 10. Answer D. 2 meters. Question 1. How many employees does a company need before risk assessments are recorded? A. Between 5-10. B. Between 10-20. C. 5 or more. D. Just 1 is needed. Question 1. Answer C. 5 or more. Question 2. Which of these best describes a hazard? A. Something that is potentially harmful. B. Tools lying around on the floor. C. Cables lying around on the floor. D. Unlabeled chemicals. Question 2. Answer A. Something that is potentially harmful. Question 3. What is the cause of most accidents? A. Poisoning. B. Slips, trips and falls. C. Electrocution. D. Suffocation. Question 3. Answer B. Slips, trips and falls. Question 4. In which year was the Health and Safety at Work Act enacted? A. 1947. B. 1974. C. 1957. D. 1975. Question 4. Answer B. 1974. Question 5. Where would you go if your fire alarm was activated? A. Your manager's office. B. The fire assembly point. C. Go to your car and wait. D. Exit the building and go home. Question 5. Answer B. The fire assembly point. Question 6. What chemical fire extinguishers are identified by which color? A. Red. B. Black. C. Cream. D. Yellow. Question 6. Answer D. Yellow. Question 7. The safest way to lift a load is to A. Keep your back rounded at all times. B. Keep your back straight at all times. C. Keep your feet as close as possible. D. Keep your feet slightly apart with your back rounded. Question 7. Answer B. Keep your back straight at all times. Question 8. Electrical fires are best tackled with A. Water fire extinguisher. B. CO2 fire extinguisher. C. Wet chemical fire extinguisher. D. Foam fire extinguisher. Question 8. Answer B. CO2 fire extinguisher. Question 9. Who should report unsafe working practices at work? A. Your supervisor only. B. Your health and safety rep only. C. Anyone who notices it. D. Your line manager only. Question 9. Answer C. Anyone who notices it. Question 1. Site inductions should be attended by A. Supervisors only. B. Everyone who will be on site. C. Managers only. D. Short-term visitors only. Question 1. Answer B. Everyone who will be on site. Question 2. Being exposed to engine oil can cause A. Hearing problems. B. Skin problems. C. Lung cancer. D. Temporary loss of breath. Question 2. Answer B. Skin problems. Question 3. Which of these are common causes of accidents on a construction work site? A. Slips, trips and falls. B. Falling from height. C. Inhaling hazardous substances. D. All of the above. Question 3. Answer D. All of the above. Question 4. For maximum safety, disposable masks should be discarded after A. 6 days. B. 2 weeks. C. 1 day or 1 shift. D. 3 days. Question 4. Answer C. 1 day or 1 shift. Question 5. Besides hearing loss, what can excessive noise cause? A. Headaches. B. Temporary blindness. C. Skin disease. D. Heart disease. Question 5. Answer A. Headaches. Question 6. What does this sign mean? A. Danger fragile roof. B. Caution tripping hazards on roof. C. No entry roof unsafe. D. Danger roof incomplete. Question 6. Answer A. Danger fragile roof. Question 7. What does this sign mean? A. Eye protection recommended. B. Opaque eye protection must be worn. C. Eye protection not needed beyond this point. D. Eye protection must be worn. Question 7. Answer D. Eye protection must be worn. Question 8. What does this sign mean? A. Hand washing area. B. Protective gloves must be worn. C. Protective gloves recommended. D. Use barrier cream. Question 8. Answer B. Protective gloves must be worn. Question 1. All unsafe working practices should be reported immediately. Whose responsibility is it to report unsafe working practices? A. Your supervisor only. B. Only the site manager can do this. C. Only a health and safety rep can do this. D. It's everyone's responsibility to report unsafe working practices. Question 1. Answer D. It's everyone's responsibility to report unsafe working practices. Question 2. What should you do if you're unsure about a particular topic discussed during a site induction? A. Ask a colleague to clarify. B. Meet with the presenter at the end of the day to discuss it. C. Ask the presenter to explain further. D. Ask your health and safety rep to explain at your next break. Question 2. Answer C. Ask the presenter to explain further. Question 3. Prohibition notices are given to equipment that A. Only supervisors can use. B. Only managers can use. C. Only skilled workers can use. D. Should not be used until it's made safe. Question 3. Answer D. Should not be used until it's made safe. Question 4. While carrying out the task you realize that another contractor's work is putting your safety at risk. What should you do? A. Approach the contractor and have a chat about the situation. B. Speak to your supervisor concerning the matter. C. Speak to the contractor's supervisors concerning the matter. D. Carry on working but keep a close eye on what's going on around you. Question 4. Answer. B. Speak to your supervisor concerning the matter. Question 5. As an employee, it's your responsibility to do all the following except choose 2 answers. A. Raise concerns about safety issues. B. Write your own risk assessments. C. Report unsafe working practices. D. Provide your own PPE. Question 5. Answer. B. Write your own risk assessments. D. Provide your own PPE. Question 6. In the event of an accident, a first aider can do all the following except A. Perform CPR. B. Bandage your cuts or wounds. C. Move you while you're unconscious. D. Prescribe and give you medicines to help you recover. Question 6. Answer. D. Prescribe and give you medicines to help you recover. Question 7. Which of these does not belong in the fire triangle? A. Fuel. B. Oxygen. C. Source of ignition. D. CO2. Question 7. Answer. D. CO2. Question 8. When using fire extinguishers, the term pass stands for underscore. A. Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. B. Point, aim, squeeze, sweep. C. Pull, aim, squeeze, smother. D. Point, aim, squeeze, smother. Question 8. Answer. A. Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. Question 9. What should you do if you have no hearing protection and someone is using very noisy equipment near you? A. Work quickly, then move away from that area. B. Leave the area immediately and get the right hearing protection for your situation. C. Ask the person to wait until you leave to use it. D. Carry on working and just try to ignore the noise. Question 9. Answer. B. Leave the area immediately and get the right hearing protection for your situation. Question 10. Who can use a Class 3 ladder to carry out work on a building site? A. Only a supervisor can use a Class 3 ladder on site. B. Anyone can use a Class 3 ladder on site. C. Class 3 ladders should not be used on site. D. Only a trained worker can use a Class 3 ladder on site. Question 10. Answer. C. Class 3 ladders should not be used on site. To help prevent rats on the work site, what should every person do? A. Bring a large cat to site. B. Buy rat traps and put them round site. C. They should not leave bit of food lying around the work site. D. Ask the local authority to put down rat poison. Question 1. Answer. C. They should not leave bit of food lying around the work site. Question 2. If you breathe in asbestos dust, it can cause what? A. Painful joints. B. Lung disease. C. Aching muscles. D. Influenza. Question 2. Answer. B. Lung disease. Question 3. The PAT test label on a power tool tells you what? A. When the tool was made. B. Who tested the tool before it left the factory. C. When the next safety check is due. D. It is earth loop impedance. Question 3. Answer. C. When the next safety check is due. Question 4. You are walking across the site, which is the best way to avoid having an accident with planned vehicles? A. Get a ride on the planned vehicle. B. Make sure you have the attention of the plant driver before you become too close to it. C. Keep to the pedestrian routes. D. Make sure you are wearing high-vis clothing. Question 4. Answer C. Keep to the pedestrian routes. Question 5. If you or a coworker decides to go to a pub at lunchtime and they have a couple of beers, what should they do next? A. They must not return to the work site for the rest of the day. B. Stay away for an hour and then go back to work. C. Drink plenty of strong coffee then go back to work. D. Eat something, wait for 30 minutes then go back to work. Question 5. Answer A. They must not return to the work site for the rest of the day. Question 6. You are using an electric drill when it cuts out, how should you proceed? A. Pull the electric cable to see if it is loose. B. Shake it to see if it will start again. C. Switch off the power and look for signs of damage. D. Switch the power off and on a few times. Question 6. Answer C. Switch off the power and look for signs of damage. Question 7. You are walking across the site when a mobile crane backs up across you. What will need to do? A. Start to run so that you can pass behind the crane. B. Help the driver to back up. C. Wait or find another way around the crane. D. Pass close to the front of the crane. Question 7. Answer C. Wait or find another way around the crane. Question 8. You should not just rely on barrier cream to protect your skin from harmful substances because A. It can be hard to wash off your hands. B. It is known to irritate skin. C. It costs too much to use every day. D. Many harmful substances go straight through it. Question 8. Answer D. Many harmful substances go straight through it. Question 9. If you need to use a power tool in a waterlogged part of the site, it is safest to A. Use an air-powered tool if possible. B. Only use 230-volt equipment. C. Wear Wellington boots. D. Wrap a plastic bag around the tool. Question 9. Answer A. Use an air-powered tool if possible. Question 10. You see a driver that is spilling diesel on the ground while refueling an excavator. How should you proceed? A. Look for the spillage kit immediately. B. You must tell the driver right away. C. You can do nothing as it will seep into the ground. D. Tell your supervisor the next time you see them. Question 10. Answer B. You must tell the driver right away. Question 11. Exposure to which of these may not result in you getting lung disease? A. Silica dust. B. Steam. C. Asbestos. D. Bird droppings. Question 11. Answer B. Steam. Question 12. If your hands get into contact with a hazardous substance when eating, you can easily pass it onto your mouth. Give 2 answers how you could stop this. A. Put your protective gloves on inside out before you eat. B. Wash your hands before eating. C. Wear protective gloves while you are working. D. Wash the gloves you have been wearing and put them on inside out. E. Put barrier cream on before eating. Question 12. Answer B. Wash your hands before eating. C. Wear protective gloves while you are working. Question 13. If an extension cable has a cut in its outer cover, you should do what? A. Put a bigger fuse in the cable plug. B. Check the copper wires do not show through the cut, then use the cable. C. Put electrical tape around the damaged area. D. Report the fault and make sure no one else uses the cable. Question 13. Answer D. Report the fault and make sure no one else uses the cable. Question 14. It is safe to work close to an overhead power line if A. You use a wooden ladder. B. You do not touch the line for more than 30 seconds. C. The power is switched off. D. It is not raining. Question 14. Answer C. The power is switched off. Question 15. There is smoke coming from the motor on your electric drill. What should you do? A. Unplug the drill and make sure no one else uses it. B. Allow the drill to cool for 30 minutes. C. Pour water over it. D. Use a carbon dioxide extinguisher. Question 15. Answer A. Unplug the drill and make sure no one else uses it. Question 16. You should use an RCD with 230 volts tool because A. It saves energy and lowers costs. B. It quickly cuts off the power if there is a fault. C. It makes the tool run at safe speeds. D. It lowers the voltage. Question 16. Answer B. It quickly cuts off the power if there is a fault. Question 1. A permit to work allows A. Untrained people to work without supervision. B. Health and safety executive inspectors to visit the site. C. The emergency services to come onto the site after an accident. D. Certain jobs to be carried out under controlled conditions. Question 1. Answer D. Certain jobs to be carried out under controlled conditions. Question 2. You are about to start a job. How will you know if it needs a permit to work? A. You do not need to know. Permits to work only affect managers. B. The health and safety executive will tell you. C. You will be given a permit to work at the site induction. D. You will not be allowed to start work until the permit to work has been issued. Question 2. Answer D. You will not be allowed to start work until the permit to work has been issued. Question 3. Which type of accident kills most construction workers? A. Contact with electricity. B. Being run over by site transport. C. Falling from a height. D. Being hit by a falling object. Question 3. Answer C. Falling from a height. Question 4. You can help prevent accidents by A. Becoming a first aider. B. Reporting unsafe working conditions. C. Knowing how to get help quickly. D. Know where the first aid is kept. Question 4. Answer B. Reporting unsafe working conditions. Question 5. Which of these could be confused with the early signs of Weil's disease? A. Diabetes. B. Influenza. C. Dermatitis. D. Hay fever. Question 5. Answer B. Influenza. Question 6. You find pigeon droppings and a nest in the area where you are about to start work. What should you do? A. Let them fly away before carrying on with your work. B. Seek advice from someone and stop working. C. Try to catch the pigeons. D. Carry on with your work carefully. Question 6. Answer B. Seek advice from someone and stop working. Question 7. There are many kinds of dust at work. Breathing them for a long time can cause A. Glue ear. B. Skin cancer. C. Occupational asthma. D. Occupational dermatitis. Question 7. Answer C. Occupational asthma. Question 8. You need to move a load that is heavier on one side than the other. How should you pick this up? A. With the heavy side on your strong arm. B. With the heavy side towards you. C. With the heavy side away from you. D. With the heavy side on your weak arm. Question 8. Answer B. With the heavy side towards you. Question 9. You need to move a load that might be too heavy for you. What should you do? A. Get someone to help you. B. Use an aid, such as a trolley or wheelbarrow. C. Divide the load into smaller loads if possible. D. All of the above. Question 9. Answer: D. All of the above. Question 10. You have been shown how you should be lifting a heavy load. After some thought you think you have a better way. How should you proceed? A. Forget your idea and do it the way you have been told. B. Ask your workmates to decide which way you should do it. C. Ignore what you have been told and do it your way. D. Discuss your idea with your supervisor. Question 10. Answer: D. Discuss your idea with your supervisor. Question 11. When you climb a ladder, you must: A. Have 2 points of contact with the ladder at all times. B. Have 2 people on the ladder at all times. C. Have 3 points of contact with the ladder at all times. D. Use a safety harness. Question 11. Answer: C. Have 3 points of contact with the ladder at all times. Question 12. Tools and materials can easily fall from a scaffold platform. What is the best way to protect the people below? A. Tell them you will be working above. B. Make sure they are wearing safety helmets. C. Tell the people below to stop work and clear the area. D. Use brick guards to stop any items falling below. Question 12. Answer: D. Use brick guards to stop any items falling below. Question 13. You have been given disposable earplugs to use, but they keep falling out. What should you do? A. Stop work until you get more suitable one and are shown how to fit them. B. Put rolled up tissue in each ear. C. Throw them away and work without them. D. Put 2 earplugs in each ear so they stay in place. Question 13. Answer: A. Stop work until you get more suitable one and are shown how to fit them. Question 14. You need to wear a full body harness. You have never used one before. What should you do? A. Try to work it out for yourself. B. Read the instruction book. C. Ask someone already wearing a harness to show you what to do. D. Ask for expert advice and training. Question 14. Answer: D. Ask for expert advice and training. Question 15. If you want to be a first aider, you should: A. Buy a book on first aid and start treating people. B. Watch a first aider treating people, then try it yourself. C. Ask if you can do a first aider's course. D. Speak to your doctor about it. Question 15. Answer: C. Ask if you can do a first aider's course. Question 16. If someone falls and is knocked unconscious, what should you do? A. Give them mouth-to-mouth resuscitations. B. Slap their face to wake them up. C. Turn them over so they are lying on their back. D. Send for medical help. Question 16. Answer: D. Send for medical help. Question 1. Which of the following would DH40 relate to? A. The safest way to put out a fire. B. Safest way to store tools. C. Workplace exposure limits. D. The correct way to report an accident. Question 1. Answer: C. Workplace exposure limits. Question 2. Which of the following are the best fire extinguishers to use on electrical fires? Select 2 answers. A. Water. B. Foam. C. Wet chemical. D. CO2. E. Dry powder. Question 2. Answer: D. CO2. E. Dry powder. Question 3. You have seen a close call accident and the coworker that was involved is worried about getting told off. You should: A. Talk to him and make sure they are more careful. B. No matter what, you will have to report it. C. They seemed okay, so forget about it. D. Take them to your supervisor. Question 3. Answer. B. No matter what, you will have to report it. Question 4. With heavy loads you should A. Drag it across the floor. B. Move in lighter, safer loads. C. Carry it on your shoulders. D. Be left until someone can help. Question 4. Answer. B. Move in lighter, safer loads. Question 5. Why is the risk assessment so important? A. It will tell you the person in charge of the health and safety on the site. B. It will be used to delegate jobs to the workers. C. It will tell you where the tools are stored. D. It will tell you the safe way of doing a task. Question 5. Answer. D. It will tell you the safe way of doing a task. Question 6. Which of these would be involved in a Class B fire? Please select 2 answers. A. Cooking oil. B. Propane. C. Kerosene. D. Gasoline. Question 6. Answer. C. Kerosene. D. Gasoline. Question 7. What is leptospirosis caused by? A. Ants. B. Rats and/or livestock urinating in water or soil. C. Mosquitoes. D. Dead fish in water. Question 7. Answer. B. Rats and/or livestock urinating in water or soil. Question 8. What color are exit signs? A. Green. B. Blue. C. Red. D. Yellow. Question 8. Answer. A. Green. Question 9. Asbestos will only affect women and men and not children. True or false? A. True. B. False. Question 9. Answer. B. False. Question 10. Which of the following does RIDDA stand for? A. Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. B. Reporting of Injuries, Deaths and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. C. Reporting of Injuries, Destruction and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. D. Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Deadly Occurrences Regulations. Question 10. Answer. A. Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. Question 11. After you have raised the fire alarm, what should you do next? A. You should hide under a desk. B. Look for your supervisor so you can inform them of the situation. C. Look for your coworker and get them out the building. D. Leave immediately. Question 11. Answer. D. Leave immediately.